you must read books not just for the theory of that, like we usually tend to rely on European books, like for example for surgery, what we were asked to follow is Bailey and Love, both version 1 and version 2. Apart from this, we even look into SRB, Sriram Bharat something, yeah, SRB. So, and then apart from that, we use Doctrina Perpetua, then Andre Tan's notes, and all these, like these are the 4 books we actually used in our surgery posting. So the thing is, our professor always used to advise us that never follow all the books together. What he meant is, like, one particular topic, whenever you read a particular topic, for example acute appendicitis, which is the most common thing you always see in the surgery wards, when you read that in one particular book, it has a different approach. The other book, like the essence is the same, but then there might be certain extra points in other books. So what is important is never keep everything scattered around. Always summarize and make your own notes, guys. Always make your notes, compile all these textbooks and make your own notes. This is the appropriate way to use the textbooks, especially in the medical field. Read from all these books, highlight the important points, and then make your own clinical notes. That's the most important thing, especially even before exams. It's very helpful when you want to revise and quick look through. You cannot have time to read 4 or 5 books just before exams when you have like so many. It's like very vast and you have so many topics to learn, and you cannot simply afford to open so many books. So you definitely have to summarize and make your own proper clinical notes. So apart from this, you also have to ask the questions, like all the unclarified stuff, even whether it is from the ward or whether it is from the textbooks. Always ask your professors, guys. Never rely on Google, because medicine is not something you learn from Google. Yes, certain things are good, certain things are good. Like for example, jaundice is very good. In Wikipedia, they really explained it well. But it is important to ask your professor, because he will give you the answers as per a clinical approach as well as from his clinical practice. Another thing about this is when you ask questions to your professors, like there are professors who are from your university itself, and there are adjunct lecturers who are like from the hospital, who are working doctors in the hospital, and they are like teaching you. They're paid by the university to teach you, so they lecture you as well. So sometimes happens that when you ask doubts about certain topics to your adjunct lecturer, he tells you one thing, and then you ask to your professor, he tells you something that completely contradicts what he said. So as a student, managing this situation is really important, because you cannot tell your adjunct lecturer that your lecturer told this way. At the same time, you can't tell this lecturer that the adjunct lecturer told it this way, because it will contradict their egos as well. So never do that. When they say you one thing and they say you one thing, judge according to one thing is judge according to what you see clinically. You see both of them tell one particular thing, but you see clinical practice and you see what is being practiced in the wards. So you one thing is you follow that, or always go with who is being in the hospital clinically. Sometimes happens that, yeah, maybe your lecturer is also a practicing clinician, but the adjunct lecturer is most experienced, and experienced in the sense he's still working, so he has the knowledge of what is currently being practiced. I mean, the most updated version. Sometimes your professor might not be a clinician. He would have probably completed medicine and just got into lecturing, so he doesn't have enough clinical knowledge probably. So in such situations, always follow your adjunct lecturer, the one who is working in the hospital. However, never tell them that their answers contradict. Just follow the practical one. So at the end of all this, the most important thing, guys, in a medical career and as a medical student, as well as a medical doctor, maybe, it is important to take care of yourself, because nobody else will. Whole career you're dedicating yourself to take care of people, to render your service for humanity. So in order to be able to do that, you must be yourself healthy, and you yourself must be capable in state of good mental health, physical health. For example, like especially nutrition, guys, because it's something sometimes we don't really take care of it. Like we do advise, you ask us, we know what is balanced diet, we give you 10 definitions with the exercises we need to follow, the good, we give a perfect diet chart to other people, but when it comes to our own self, we don't really we don't really comply to things. So especially I really learned a lesson, guys, because like I was so much indulged into this medical thing. Like like we wake up early, like rush to the hospital. I don't usually have the breakfast. Sometimes just have coffee, until like sometimes once I'm into the hospital, the world around me is different. I completely forget about the outside world. And when I remember I didn't eat anything, it's around like 5 p.m 6 p.m, I'll be like, oh yeah, we didn't eat anything today, I didn't even drink water today. So that's something that can really ruin your health for long term. I really suffered, because you'll have constant hypoglycemic attacks during the work, and then eventually ending up with hypotension. And so in order to avoid the health problems and remain healthy and remain on the go, always take care of your nutrition and exercise is really important, both for your mind and your body. We know this, we do tell everyone, but we don't follow. So try to squeeze in at least some home workout. If you're not able to go to gym, at least some home workout you have to try to squeeze it into your busy schedule. And then mental health is very important. So my university particularly gives this mentor-mentee sessions. You can discuss with your professors personally if you have any problems, either in your personal life, or things like even things like as small as, like, if you're an international student, even this visa issues, renewing your visa, renewing your passport, all this can actually eventually enter into, subconsciously you're so worried about things like this, and it can eventually cause damage to your mental health. So always reach out, guys. Talk about things, talk about it. Never keep it to yourself and struggle and suffer. It could even be something with your personal life, something family problems, anything. Just find a person to talk to, you know. It can be a friend, it can be a professor, it can be a counselor who has been appointed by the university, or a doctor, or anybody. Just talk out. Never keep it to yourself, and you know, long term get depressed, and it's not worth it, guys. Your parents have really worked hard for you to reach to this extent. You cannot really afford to, you know, fall into depression and waste your life like that. So never have the suicidal thoughts. Always talk about it. It's not wrong, because especially being a medical student, there's so many times you feel you're reaching the breaking point, you know. There's so many things, you know. There's so many times, either because of work stress, the way people treat you, the politics around, so many things will make you feel like it's just the breaking point. I'm just holding myself. But no, always talk up, speak up. And then I would say, always have your hobbies, never give up on them. Like, could be like just playing badminton in the evenings with your friends, or just catch up with whatever you like to do. Could be like a karaoke session with your friends, or if you like to spend time alone, like with painting. Especially me, I love painting. So squeeze in some time, at least in the weekends. Maybe like, usually weekdays, even I'm quite busy. Like, we usually almost until 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and then we're very tired and just come home, have dinner, and sleep. So usually we don't have time, I know that. But at least, you know, at least during the weekends, you know, have some time for yourselves to, you know, catch up with those hobbies, or maybe a TV series, a movie, or anything, just to relax and maintain your sanity. Especially have friends who don't belong to medical career, in order to remain sane, you know. When you're always with your friends who are in your same field, you always end up talking topics related to career and related to medicine and anything. So always have friends who are not doing medicine or any healthcare related, yeah. So you can, you know, talk out of the field. And then apart from this, taking care of yourself in the healthcare environment is the most important thing, especially complying to the protocols of hand wash. You know, we all are taught all this, the 7 steps of hand wash on the first day you enter the medicine, but then how many of us really comply? We know that. So it is important, guys. It is really important. Me personally, I always make sure I do the 7 steps. Let it be for the hand rub, hand sanitizer, or the hand wash itself. Everything, follow the steps, guys. It's not, it's there for a reason, you know. It was made for a reason. So follow that. Wear masks, wear the appropriate personal protective equipments whenever necessary, especially masks, such as masks or gloves, whenever it is needed, indicated. Because I personally know so many of my classmates who didn't really comply to wearing the masks when it was needed to, and ended up getting hospital acquired pneumonia. So things like this, you know, all the nosocomial diseases, especially. It's important to stay healthy, guys. You know, among so much stress, you cannot really afford to fall sick. And especially if you're an international student and you don't have your family with you and you're living alone, it's like you are the only person taking care of yourself, so you cannot afford to fall sick. So it is always better to be safe. Prevention is always better than cure. So always use the personal protective equipments. Apart from this, what our professors tell is having a thick skin. This thing is like both towards the doctors and the patients. Doctors, as I said, they will scold you and everything, but just be strong. You're gonna get through this. Towards the patients is like, initially when we enter, you know, when there's this thing called transition phase, when from the theoretical year you suddenly jump into clinical year. This is, you not yet changed your approach to learning. So guys, really clerk as many patients as you can. Do the physical examination by yourself, feel things by yourself, because maybe your professors show you things, maybe you can see through videos, but medicine is only when you do it yourself, DIY. So always never feel shy. Always follow the protocols, have your chaperones, have your seniors supervision, do everything under the supervision of your seniors. Even if it is like clinical procedures, as well as blood taking, make sure there's someone, make sure there is either a nurse or a doctor or anyone who is, you know, just in case, because you're still students and you cannot afford to get into troubles or put the patient into trouble because of you, because small things can really end up into a big disaster, especially in the medical field. So always stay safe, because always staying safe both for medical legal issues as well as for the health of the patient itself. So always have a supervision. So this is pretty much, I wanted to share some of these things. It's all from my own personal experience in the wards, and I really wish someone told me all this before I got into the posting me personally. But then yes, it all comes with experience. So hope it helped, guys. Yep, stay safe, stay healthy, and always have the motivation and determination to achieve your goals, because more than hard work, more than anything, it's about the persistence. Always stay on track. See you. Thank you.